this. The parallel of today deals with the film Carlito's Way, David Kleinfeld. When I look at DJ Akademiks, I see David Kleinfeld, the lawyer, Carlito's lawyer, the the mafia's lawyer in the film Carlito's Way. When I look at DJ Akademiks, I see parallels to the character Kleinfeld, David Kleinfeld. That's the lawyer, right? Now let's talk about why I see that. Okay. Now who was David Kleinfeld? David Kleinfeld was not a street guy. David Kleinfeld was a lawyer, and he was a lawyer that represented Italian mafia gangsters. You know, Spanish Harlem gangsters. He represented these type of guys, and he helped them, beat cases. He built his name representing these type of guys, criminals. You know what I mean? Criminal guys, and while representing these guys for all these years, he becomes uh what's the word? He becomes obsessed, and he admires their lifestyle, right? Even though he's the one that's legit, you know, and he doesn't have the background of the trauma in the streets and all that. He admires these guys background. He admires the fancy suits that they wear. He admires the respect that they get in the streets, the respect that they get at the restaurants. He admires the way that they wear their hair. He admires the women. He admires the lifestyle. But he don't come from that lifestyle, but he represents it. He covers it, right? He makes sure that they are in a great position, right? So as he does this, the more that he does this, he begins to pick up traits of the mafia guys that he represents, right? Because when you watch Carlito's Way, you're looking at a film that deals with the ego. Carlito is fighting his ego from the new Carlito versus the old Carlito, right? But David Kleinfeld is also dealing with his own ego too, because the ego takes on characteristics, in the subconscious mind builds characters, right? And David Kleinfeld built his own character by representing these gangsters, and they was talking bad about him for so many years, treating him like shit, talking crazy to him. It hurt his ego. And years after years, as he becomes more powerful and more richer, he begins to lash out at them. He begins to use drugs. He begins to use more and more alcohol. He begins to be disrespectful with women, and he begins to uh, despise. Love turns into hate. He loved the mafia guys, but they never could accept him because he was not from the streets that they was from. He couldn't get down with the club because he didn't have the background. So when you can't get down with the guys that you've been holding down, but you can't get down because you don't got the background, you begin to build resentment for them type of guys. And that's what David Kleinfeld built. He built up years of resentment, of helping them get out of jail, helping them beat cases. And in return, they give him their ass to kiss. They clown on him. They slap him around, right? They look at him as a clown, as a soft guy. And that hurts David Kleinfeld's ego. And over years and years of doing that to David Kleinfeld, he begins to resent them and build his own character. And years after getting money and power, he thinks that the money can buy him respect. But the money can't buy you respect. And this is what Carlito was trying to tell him, right? See, when you get money, you begin to lose yourself, because money is power in America. So we watch David Kleinfeld in the film lose himself as he gains the money. He walks around with security now, and he begins to think he's bigger than the gangsters that he represents, and that their little world ain't nothing to him. He's bigger than them. He says, "Fuck your street code." That's what he told Carlito. F your street code. I do what I want to do. Y'all need me. I don't need y'all. That was his arrogance, right? This was the downfall of David Kleinfeld in the film Carlito, right? This was his downfall. But he just wanted to be down. But he didn't have the background to never be accepted. So when we look at DJ Akademiks, what do we see? What do we see? We see a kid that came to America from Jamaica when he was about 11 years old, right? And he falls in love with Black American street culture. But he not street though. He don't have the background. You know, Big, you look at Big had the background, right? Even though he come from the Catholic mom and all, they grew up in Bed-Stuy. He grew up with official niggas, right? But DJ Act don't have that background, but he loved the culture. He loved the street culture, right? The thing about DJ Act is he always loved being on the microphone. You know, he was a disc jockey. He was a disc jockey. He went to Rutgers University, right? And he was a very, very intelligent student. You know, he even said this on DJ Vlad. He said that he was able to take the opportunities that Black Americans took for granted, right? So this is a very smart, intelligent brother, but he plays dumb. You have to play dumb to sell to the Black American because the Black American loves to be entertained, right? And he knows this, but he's an intelligent brother. You know, he graduated from Rutgers and he talked down on Black Americans that was, you know, in the words of Shannon Sharp, bull jiving to keep it clean inside the university, right? Anyway, after years of being a disc jockey, right, he builds a YouTube, and the YouTube channel is not doing as well as he would like, right? But in 2012, the drill era starts, right? That's when Chief Keef comes on the scene, and it's these street guys from Chicago, right? They make you homemade videos on YouTube, right? And it's doing millions of numbers, and it's a very it had us in a headlock. It had us in a headlock at the time, you know what I mean? And DJ Act, you know, he's somewhere in the household, you know what I'm saying? At the time he wasn't outside like that, according to what he said, you know what I mean? He's building this platform, right? And he becomes obsessed with this type of lane of rap, this lane of rap, this subgenre of rap music called drill rap, right? And it's centered around inner city kids in Chicago rapping about, you know, clapping each other, you know what I'm saying, blasting each other. You know, real life raps. It was like banging on wax, but a modern day version of it. But it was real. You know what I mean? It wasn't no peace treaty with it. It was all, you know, it was all taking place. You know, it was like crossing somebody's name out on the wall, but they was doing it in the music. You know what I'm saying? It was called drill rap. And DJ Axe becomes obsessed with this, and by becoming such a big fan of this subgenre, he begins to dive into the real characters that's in the rap music. You know what I'm saying? Their real lives, and he wants to cover it with a segment called "The War in Chirac," right? And with this War in Chirac, he begins to cover the street politics going on in Chicago. The real Black Americans that are being gunned down in the middle of the streets like dogs. And he gets paid off of this. You know what I'm saying? YouTube is paying him off of this, right? He covering the streets. He covering street killings like it's ESPN, you know? And niggas is interested in this, you know, and this what becomes his claim to fame, right? Uh, boy, you know, as his channel grows and grows bigger, you know, he begins to get offered a contract through Complex. Complex was his big first mainstream audition, right? This was his first audition, and he got to be partnered with Joe Budden. And in this segment, it would be like First Take, but it would be a rap version of First Take, right? You would have your old school nigga, which would be Joe Budden, Stephen A. Smith, right? And then you would have your younger nigga, which would be, well, I'll run that back. You would have your old nigga, which would have been Skip Bayless, which is Joe Button, and Stephen A. Smith representing your young nigga, and then DJ Akko represents your young nigga in the rap format, right? And then you would have Shorty that was in the middle. I forgot her name, you know what I'm saying? No disrespect to her. So, they had a show going on Complex where they would cover rap topics. And many of the rappers that would come on there, you know, they had no love for DJ Act. They was hella disrespectful to DJ Act. Was it justified? Of course, a lot of it was justified. I remember Young Jeezy going off on him like Jeezy didn't respect that he was talking about street shit, and he ain't had a street background, just like David Kleinfeld, right? Vic Mensa called him out for covering politics in Chicago like it was ESPN, not knowing that Vic Mensa knows some of them people that he covering and telling him about the lack of respect it is for Black American culture and for inner city Chicago kids who are dying while he makes money covering that topic like it's ESPN, right? And Badu went on there one day and said he looked like the rat off of Tom and Jerry, the mouse off Tom and Jerry. They making fun of him. Joe Budden getting in his face, screaming at him all the time, trying to school him. But he hard headed. He a hard headed ass nigga. He think he knows. He think he know a lot of shit. Even back then, he come in the game humble. I will give him that. He was humble to be around them type of stars at first, right? He was nice to him. He was apologetic. He was, he had a little arrogance to him at times, but he was still like looked at as just a nerd nigga that they making fun of. They dissing him. They ain't got no respect for him, just like the niggas ain't have Kleinfeld. So just like the Italian mob did Kleinfeld, right? Or the Spanish Harlem gangsters did Kleinfeld. Uh, Over the years of him being disrespected time and time by the culture, you know what I mean? He begins to resent the culture, right? But I'm gonna tell you something. He got the fame already. So once the complex, because this is important right here, because this is why DJ Akademiks cannot be shut down. You know how you usually can blackball a artist or blackball something. You can only destroy what you build, right? So most rappers are built by labels, so they can be destroyed by labels. Most disc jockeys are made by the mainstream and they are destroyed by the mainstream. But see, here's the thing, right? DJ Ack got the complex bread, but he got famous from what he built off his own YouTube, right? Even when they tried to take the platform from him and say complex, the show is over, right? He just went back to doing his thing. He became bigger and stronger than ever. But now he's independent, so you can't destroy him. And now he got more money than the rappers. So now he started to drop his nuts on many other rappers. You start seeing them dissing rappers. Man, I got more money than that nigga. F that rapper, I got more money than that nigga. He got security now, right? So now he really talking shit. He really dropping his nuts. And the rappers need him. What do I mean by that? Right? So you gotta remember, he got millions of followers on Instagram, millions of followers on YouTube, millions on X, Twitter, right? He the ear to the streets for the young niggas. So all the young rappers that was drill rappers, that was mumble rappers, auto tune rappers, they all coming through him. They all using his platform to skyrocket. They was already big, but by his platform promoting them made them bigger. That's a fact. And he knew that. So as they continue to disrespect Act, DJ Act takes on the Kleinfeld role. Nah, 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 nah. Y'all need me, right? So he begins to become disrespectful with the rappers also. He got the money now too. But he admired, see, but it's just like Kleinfeld with the gangsters, right? He admires the rappers. So he begins to take on characteristics of them. He begins to be able to hang out with them a little more, right? I mean, they using him, but he using them too, right? It's a trade off. It's a trade off, but he know what time it is this time. You start to see him talking more like a street nigga. You start to see him wilding out like a street nigga, cussing out the hoes, right? Yoking the hoes up, talking crazy to Badu. You know what I'm saying? Talking crazy to Lil Baby, talking crazy to rappers now, gangster rappers. You know, he going in on them niggas because he's saying y'all niggas disrespected me, so now I'm disrespecting y'all. He ran with Takashi. Niggas didn't like it, but it was nothing they could do because he built his own self. You know what I mean? So now as time went by, you know, we seeing DJ Act get deeper into the liquor. He drinking like a fish on the live. This nigga falling asleep on the lives and shit. Drunk. You know what I'm saying? Hoes in the background. You hear him yoking. He in there fighting with the hoes and you know what I'm saying? He wilding now. He a shell of who he used to be. Just like David Kleinfeld. He lost himself inside the character, right? But how did he become this new person? It was the ego. The ego. Just like David Kleinfeld. The ego. The disrespect from the group that he wanted to be down with, but he didn't have the background. See, if you don't have the background, you could never be down, and money can't buy you that. Money can't buy you. I tell you something about Black American niggas. I'm talking about street niggas, and it may be the same outside of here, but I can only speak for here, right? If you ain't got the background, you know what I'm saying. And sometimes even if you do got the background, these niggas don't respect you. They ain't gonna respect you, and they'll take money from you all day. But we call that something in the streets. You know what that's called? That's called extortion, right? That's called extortion. You seen what happened with Takashi, nigga? Yeah, we'll let you play the game, but we'll kidnap you, nigga, if the money ain't right. That's extortion. You know what I'm saying? So, you can't buy your way into this. And just like that's what and that's what Carlito was telling David Kleinfeld at the end of the film. You know what I'm saying? You ain't no lawyer now. Now you a gangster. And you can't buy your way in, but it ain't no way out. So when you look at DJ Act right now, you seeing a shell of who he used to be. Right? Now he going off. He involving himself in street beef. He involving himself in politics that don't got nothing to do with him. Right? He's screaming about LeBron's wife. This man is out of control now. His ego is bigger than ever. You know what I mean? And this is we are looking at the downside of DJ Akademiks. You know, I don't want to put the tag on him to say he will go out like Kleinfeld, but I will say he playing a dangerous game. You know what I mean? With just the way he handling it because he think that the money can protect him from this shit. The money can't buy you respect, and you can't be a street nigga and then a disc jockey. You got to pick a side. You can't have one foot in, one foot out. Niggas don't respect that. Know what I mean? You can't do the Charlemagne and say, "Well, I'm just the radio DJ." After you've been talking crazy, it don't work like that. So, you know what I'm saying? I respect DJ Ack in the sense of I respect that he built his platform. You can't destroy him because he built himself. You gotta respect that. I don't respect things he said towards the older rappers that paved the way. But he ain't from the culture, so I understand it. He a fan of it who was good at the internet and made it work for him. You know what I mean? But I do believe that at times he's in over his head with some of the stuff that he's saying in the midst of thinking that the money can protect him. You know what I'm saying? And thinking that some of these street guys is really his friends when really, they just using them and trying to extort them. So you always have to check your ego, man. That's my advice to DJ Ack. You know what I'm saying? DJ Ack is a very successful man. You know what I mean? You got to give him that. But the ego has taken down many successful men. You know what I'm saying? It has. So you have to choose your battles. Like I said, when you watch the film Carlito's Way, watch it from a ego perspective. Um, Carlito is fighting his own ego, right? Um, as he comes out of prison, he's trying to avoid who he used to be, but the streets is bringing him back, and his ego. It was his ego that made him finally lash out on Benny Blanco from the Bronx, and which led to his downfall. It was his ego that made him feel like he needed to help niggas who wasn't on that type when he wasn't on that type of time no more. That's ego. The ego will destroy a man. The ego will destroy a man, and it always does destroy a man. The ego. So we gotta get in. We gotta stay on top of our ego if we want to survive this. Now, say even as great as Carlito was, he knew better, but the ego was so strong that it took over. That's the super ego. David Kleinfeld was fighting the ego. The resentment, the rejection, the disrespect. You know, he needed to prove to his own ego that he is gangster, that he can talk to these niggas how he want, that the money is bigger than the streets, right? And we seen that was the downfall of him. So we don't so this is just a parallel that I seen looking at DJ Academics from 2012 to 2024. That's a 12-year flip. 2025, you know what I'm saying? 13 years in the game, but we've all seen the changes in him, right? So it's just a lesson in everything, man. So the lesson of today is the ego. Don't let the ego destroy you, and don't think that money will make street niggas respect you if you don't have that background. Peace.